Guys, today is all about a luxury bike maker making it easier for you to own a bike. How? Introducing the Ducati Scrambler. Now this is Ducati's efforts in making sure that, well, A, smaller riders, and B, those with lesser means can afford an awesome bike, and this is an awesome bike. How awesome? Well, join me as I discover how truly awesome this cool looking bike is. Man, I don't know about you, man, but this bike is definitely a looker. And you know what I like the most about the looks of this bike? It's thoroughly modern, but it still has this old retro-ish looks. Because, of course, this is supposed to remind you of the Scramblers of the 60s and 70s, you know, that era. This bike is modern, but this part over here definitely reminds you of the good old days. And it's not only a great working headlamp, but it's also attention to detail. Check out the Ducati logo in there, man. How much attention to detail is that? Now, let's take the bike and dissect it from the front to the back and understand what this bike is really made of. Up front, you've got 110, 80, 18 tires up front with 18-inch rims. And it comes with the disc brakes, which are ABS as standard. And then you've got the forks. And as you come over here, you will realize that if I get on the bike, it may look visually large, but actually it's not. The bike is actually very narrow, but it sits low. Both my feet are flat on the ground, but the handlebars are a little bit wide. So it gives you this very upright riding position, which I will talk more about later. But essentially, it's a narrow bike, making it very flickable, very easy to maneuver. The other variants also comes with lower handlebars and all that. Now let's talk about the equipment. It comes with this very funky and modern looking clock over here. It's all digital, of course. You've got, as you turn it on, you will get the big speedometer right up the middle, but down the bottom circumference of the clock you will get the rev counter, which is not very easy to look at, especially under bright sunlight, but it's there lah. You don't get modes and stuff like that. You don't. It's a very straightforward construction over here. Now, as we go to the back, you will realize that it actually has the very familiar decimal unit from the 796 Monster. That bike has already been discontinued, so it's now doing service in the Ducati Scrambler, but it's tuned differently from the high-performing Monster. So on the Scrambler, you've got the decimal unit and you've got the double pipe merging into a single pipe over here. And as you look, you will realize that for the Scrambler, it does not have exotic materials like the other Ducatis, and this is mainly because they want to keep the cost low for this bike. It is supposed to be an entry-level Ducati at the end of the day, right? So the exotic stuff, not on this bike. If you go to the back, you will realize that the back wheels are fatter than the ones up front. Here you get 180, 55, 17, and if you look at it from the back, it really is got a fat set of wheels, and the tail design is a little bit more modern as compared to what you have up front, including this bit over here, of course, which is reminiscent of the Ducati Street Fighter. That's basically what you need to know about the looks of this bike, but really a bike is all about the ride. In all honesty, I think the natural environment for this Scrambler Ducati is here lah, the urban habitat, the urban environment. This is an urban enduro bike and it is meant to be easy to be used in a city like this, and I think it really is easy to use in a city like this. Remember earlier I was talking about how the bike is narrow and it just makes it that much more comfortable to be on the bike. Well, exactly. That's what this bike is all about. It's very narrow. The only thing is when you have the handlebars really this wide, you do tend to get stuck on the side mirrors of cars, but apart from that, it's actually quite easy to ride this bike in the city. You do have variants that allows you to have a narrower and a lower hit handlebar. So yeah, There are many things that you can do to this bike to make it even more effective, but as it is, it's lightweight. Three things really work for it. The compactness of the body that gives you a lot of comfort in handling this bike. The power delivery, which is, you know, it's punchy. It's got the torque peaks at about 5,000 RPM. This bike does rev at all the way up to 9,000 RPM, but 5,000 something RPM, that's when you get most torque. So off the line, it is a little bit lazy as compared to something that's much more performance oriented. But it's okay lah. Again, for this application, it's perfectly fine. And the third thing is the chassis, which is just so balanced and allows you to be very nimble and very flexible. Those three things work for this bike. Again, I just want to reiterate that this bike is really low. Look, I've got both feet flat on the ground, and you know, that's one of the characteristics of the Scrambler. Guys, now as we get into these twisties right here in the luscious area of Bukit Tunku, it's all green. It really brings to my attention another wonderful feature of this bike is that the lean-in angles are actually pretty steep. You can actually go very, very low without touching the foot pegs on the road. So that's, well, it sort of like tells you that this bike is really for those who are seeking thrills of you know, the handling type rather than having outright fast pace going straight. But yeah, this bike is definitely cool for the twisties. A roads, B roads, bring it on, man. Seriously, these bikes are meant to tackle that on top of the obvious dirt tracks or flat tracks that you can take this bike on. Right then, so here's a bike that allows you to have a luxury brand called Ducati on your driveway for, well, not next to nothing, but the closest thing to next to nothing. But still, even though it is priced lower than any other Ducati on sale right now, the performance is still going to give you a lot of grins and a lot of smiles. And not only that, even when you're not riding it and you're just looking at it, you're still going to have the same kind of grin and smile because it is just a fantastic bike to ride and to look at.